Before you decide to boycott the new Harry Potter series, watch this video. Lately, the Harry Potter world has been a little chaotic. Sure, there's been plenty of exciting news, a brand new HBO series in the works, major casting announcements, and the promise of finally getting a longer, more detailed adaptation of the books. But not all of the news has been met with open arms. And one casting decision in particular, the choice for Snape, has been all over my newsfeed for months, seemingly sparking non-stop debate and dividing the fandom in a way I haven't seen in years. And here's the thing, it's not a standalone issue. People don't have a problem with Essiedu as a person or as an actor. They have a problem with how HBO have chosen to conduct business, advertising a show as book faithful and then turning their back on this claim the second casting starts. With filming just around the corner, today I'm breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly, and making the case for why this series may or may not be redeemable. Let's dive into it. Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Starting with the elephant in the room, why is this series, and in particular this casting, so controversial? Well, it's all rooted in the following press release from HBO. The series will be a faithful adaptation of the beloved Harry Potter book series by author and executive producer J.K. Rowling. The series will feature a new cast to lead a new generation of fandom, full of the fantastic detail and much-loved characters Harry Potter fans have loved for over 25 years. And the issue here, a series can't be both faithful and make casting decisions that contradict this statement. Papa Essiedu, who has been cast as Snape, is not by any stretch of the imagination a book-faithful representation of Snape. And things get particularly weird when we look at the other casting decisions, all of whom seem to be more or less in line with what the characters from the books were supposed to look like. While I adore all of the casting decisions made in the films, not all of those were book accurate either. Ron Weasley, played by Rupert Grint, wasn't tall and lanky. Hermione, played by Emma Watson, didn't have big bushy hair and large front teeth. Horace Slughorn, played by Jim Broadbent, didn't have a huge silver walrus mustache. And perhaps most importantly, Harry Potter, played by Daniel Radcliffe, had the wrong eye colour. And many fans have pointed to these examples to argue, in defence of the new Snape, that even the original films strayed from the books. And that's true. But here's the difference. The movies never marketed themselves as faithful adaptations. They simply told the story their way, and fans called them out for it for years, which is why the decisions coming from the new series feel even more bizarre. They had a rare opportunity to learn from those past missteps, to finally deliver the book-accurate version so many fans have been waiting for, and instead, it seems like they're making the same mistakes all over again. Or at least one mistake, and that's what makes it feel even more unusual. Nearly every other casting decision for the show is pretty good, and in many cases, more book accurate than what the films gave us. If they had made other unusual casting decisions for some of the other roles, this wouldn't feel so isolated. But instead, Essiedu's casting feels entirely inconsistent, and he's left bearing the weight of that creative dissonance. That's why it turned into a mountain out of a molehill. That's why nearly every comment section on every Harry Potter video right now echoes the same sentiment. I'm not watching this show. Boycott the reboot. This isn't my Snape. The backlash is everywhere. But here's the thing. Whether you like it or not, this series is happening. And let's be honest, people will watch it. And I can't think of better evidence of this than the example of Hogwarts Legacy. It was supposed to be boycotted. Don't play it, and if you stream it, you'll be publicly attacked. I remember it all too well. But in the end, it became one of the best-selling games of the year, of the decade. In the interest of progress, here's the perspective of a Harry Potter fan who certainly does not approve of this casting decision, but will still watch the show. I've got a few points I want to touch on, which may give you a slight change in perspective. I don't know how many others fall into this category, but right now it feels pretty polarizing. Adjusting expectations. I get it. We were excited for a book-faithful adaptation. We all were. But here's the reality. That's no longer going to happen. By this point in time, HBO know exactly how fans feel about the casting of Snape, and they haven't budged. Which means we as fans have two choices. 1, boycott, or 2, adjust our expectations. Personally, I fall into the latter camp, mainly because in almost every other area, it does seem like they're sticking to their promise of a faithful adaptation. Ultimately, I am a Harry Potter fan that wants more Harry Potter content, and this is just that. Sure, there's a risk. The series could affect how you see certain characters, or even the story itself. But for me, the books and the original films are untouchable. Those memories are locked away entirely by themselves, and there's nothing this show or any future show can do that would take away that love for the series. I think the sooner you stop comparing this series to the original films, or even your exact mental image of the books, the more open you'll be to what the series can offer. I'm no longer hopelessly clinging to the idea of a completely faithful adaptation, because that promise has already been broken, and instead I'm approaching it as a reimagining, an opportunity to perhaps give us something we've never had before. Criticism and curiosity can coexist. You're not betraying the fandom by watching with a critical eye. In fact, watching informs your opinion more than boycotting ever could. I don't think that some sort of blasphemy has occurred just because they cast a black actor for Snape. I just don't like that they didn't stay true to their word. That said, I can still enjoy this series as a reimagination. I can enjoy it the same way I enjoyed Fantastic Beasts or some of the games. It just has to be treated as a separate entity. And honestly, if I don't adopt that mindset, I think it'll only sour the experience. Positive 1. In an internet world where negative press dominates, it's easy to latch on to one bit of negative information and let that define your perspective. But here's the reality. The show actually has a lot of things going for it, starting with the budget. It's clear that Warner Bros. In other regards are taking this seriously. In fact, very seriously, as they reportedly plan to spend over £3 billion across the full run of the series. If accurate, this would make it the most expensive television or film production ever, surpassing Game of Thrones, The Rings of Power, and even eclipsing every major blockbuster film in history. The budget covers a massive, purpose-built set, including an entire wizarding village, all constructed at Warner Bros. Studios Leavesden, the same lot where the original films were shot. And that kind of investment tells me one thing. They're not treating this like a throwaway remake. They're building a legacy project, something that could define the next generation of Harry Potter storytelling. So while the controversy around casting is valid and worth discussing, it's also important to recognize the scale, ambition, and resources being poured into this. Positive 2. Allegedly, each season of the show will comprise 6 episodes, bringing the total episode count to 42 across all 7 seasons, 1 season per book. And while we haven't been given any information, i.e. episode duration, I'm also going to make the bold assumption here that each episode will be roughly 60 to 90 minutes. That gives us between 42 and 63 hours of runtime. For comparison's sake, the original film series gave us a total of 19 hours and 43 minutes across all 8 films, which means we have between 2 to 3 times as much time to tell the story. And this is a huge win for pacing and detail. Instead of cramming 500-page books into 2-hour films, we're finally getting the time and space needed to do justice to the source material. Scenes that were rushed, cut, or completely omitted in the original films, like Spew, the full Marauders backstory, and even character arcs now have a real chance to breathe. And if each episode really does run between 60 and 90 minutes, we're looking at movie-length chapters every week for years. It's the kind of long-form storytelling the series has always deserved, and with that much screen time, there's no excuse not to go deeper, richer, and more faithful than ever before. Final thoughts. Now, it's entirely possible that the Snape casting is a warning sign, a glimpse into the possibility that this series might not be book faithful at all. But if that turns out to be true, let's be honest, we'll figure it out pretty quickly, and I doubt HBO wants a stark audience drop-off the moment the show premieres. No one wants a flop, especially them. And until I've witnessed the first episode, I'm willing to give it a chance. I'm willing to be open-minded. You don't have to love every decision. You don't have to agree with every change. But you do have to decide, are you willing to judge the show for what it actually is, rather than what it isn't? What do you all think? Let me know down in the comment section below. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams, and to forget to live.